In a far-off world, long ago, a child was born to a star family known as the Te'enar. That child was myself. And though this happened long, long ago, the story is still mine to share. To the human mind, these delicate winged creatures would be seen as fairies or angels. My first memory of Te'enar was of being securely wrapped in a sort of cocoon and held in the loving arms of my parent. As time progressed and I grew into more awareness, I began to understand more deeply this enchanting world that surrounded me. The Te'enar lived their lives in fragile shelters, fashioned from the silk threads harvested from the underland at the base of tree-like structures, which grew up from the swampy baseland and sprouted high up into and above the clouds. These tree appendages were called pe'enoks, and they rose up hundreds of feet above the ground level and were home to all the families of the Te'enar. Their communication was through song, each note telling a story, passing from one to another through a series of twitters and cheeps, musical tones and ringing sounds which, during dialogue or conversation, might remind one of the tinkling of wind chimes. Each note was meant to proclaim a discovery or to tell of an upcoming event or happening, the birth of a child, the passing of a great one, or the telling of something wonderful seen in the stars or shining up through the white opalescent skies. I found their way of speaking to one another to be one of the most beautiful forms of communication I have ever discovered. The name I was given was Te'esa, and I was neither male or female, for the Te'enar held no gender and were born out of the simple desire of the parent. Each child was delighted in and cherished for the rare and beautiful gift they are. The realm of the Te'enar was invisible to physical eyes and therefore held safe from those of the lower worlds, who were occasionally spotted traveling through the skies in their metal ships. As a Te'enar ages, the wings would grow larger, eventually reaching a length several times the body's size. These spectacular individuals were known as grand wings and were admired and respected for the magnificent creatures they were. The tale of Te'enar would be seen through the eyes of a human to be a tragedy, for the fear of death runs strong within mankind. Yet through the eyes of one who has lived among these angelic beings, the story could be seen as miraculous. These little fairy-winged entities possessed within them a complete trust and peaceful acceptance of their experience as it flows through to them. Each has within them an innate knowledge of the exquisite benevolence of their surroundings, and are therefore always in a delighted sense of anticipation. So when the first rumble from below was felt from within the highest peaks of the Pennock branches, a ripple of excitement ran through each little being for what adventure might follow. Even the slow swaying of the fragile boughs brought no alarm. As the rumbling increased and the swaying grew to a wobble, it was decided that one of the grand wings would fly down to investigate the source of the tremors. Naturally, no precautions were taken, as there was no need for concern, and the T'Inar gathered together in a supportive and cheerful farewell for their beloved grandparent. As the light period began to dim and slowly grew into shadow, the T'Inar prepared for the nightly ritual, Stitante, the hour of enfoldment. Still, there was no concern or worry, for this anxiety did not exist within the T'Inar civilization, and each folded their wings around the tiny body, swaddled in a protective cocoon until the return of the light. I remember well that moment of unfolding, or Katante, during the first stirrings of illumination. What I and the others perceived was beyond anything any of us had ever known or imagined. Many of the Pannocks were leaning, and some had fallen and disappeared from view. Some were slowly sinking into the lower world. The residents of T'Inar gathered together, holding tightly to the branches of their homes, watching in awe the most exciting adventure of all unfolding in front of them. As this was a completely unfamiliar occurrence, the event was not recognized or interpreted as anything other than the experience it was, and we watched with utter amazement. Before the passing of the next light cycle, there was nothing more to see by any, for there were none left to observe. All had sunk below the baseland and disappeared. Some of us had let go of our hold on the branches and hovered above for a time, watching as each Pennock sunk out of sight. But one by one we tired And as there was nothing to land on or anchor to, we dropped one by one and quickly sunk into the swampy wetland below. The gift of this remarkable and unique society was their ability to see everything as a captivating escapade, a compelling scenario unfolding before their eyes. Another chapter in the enchantment of sentience, the thrill of being alive and vital for those few precious moments allowed to each, simply for the enjoyment of moment passing from and into the next. A pure and innocent child of nature and the universe, dancing from one realm and into the next, for the sheer pleasure of life. As I have come to speak to you now, I have had many incarnations since that one on T'Enar, 2 upon planet Earth. And yet the story I just revealed to you is my favorite of any remembered. Since I have now experienced both lifetimes as human and as T'Enarian, I have come to tell you that the unblemished purity of these angelic beings is available to all inhabitants of your planet too. For it is innate within each source being. And that is you, your beautiful self. This, your earth, must change, must be made new. And you, my fellow star sisters and brothers, are there to do just that, or to ride the wave of light back to the wholeness from which you came.